Hello everybody, this is the Golden Lock Picker and I'm back at you here with another lock in the vise today. And pardon my voice, I'm a little bit raspy. I just got back from a family trip, taking my family up to Canada. And during that time frame, we went through an area that they were harvesting, and my allergies never seem to do well whenever harvest is going on. So, but enough of that. I have a lock for you here in the vise, and what I've got for you guys I think will be quite interesting. This is an Abus Titalium 64 Ti 50, and you can see there it does not have ball bearings, so potentially shimmable, but we're here for the picking. What makes this kind of an interesting padlock is actually this padlock, even though it doesn't have security pins, at least to my knowledge, based on people's pictures who've actually milled these out, the machining tolerances are so tight on this lock, and the difference in the material from the core and what the pins are made out of, because they're not your standard brass pins like you would normally see, you don't really get the same kind of a feel when you pick this lock. It's very, very different. This lock does have, according to the packaging here, a lock body made from titanium, an aluminum or aluminium alloy, with high security. It's a high security with low weight, hardened steel shackle with nano protect. So it has a nano protect coating on it that provides extra corrosion resistance, and precision 5-pin cylinder with paracentric keyway, which protects against manipulation or picking, obviously. So I would actually agree with that. If you read the lock picking Reddit, subreddit, which, mind you, is not necessarily locksmiths. It's usually people that are lock sport enthusiasts. But mind you, there are some incredibly good pickers on that subreddit. There will be definitely a lot of complaints about trying to pick either the 64 series Titalium or any of the other ones that are out there. And on some of them, including this one, I think maybe even Lady Locks made a video on one of hers basically being, a very difficult pick, and was going to try to cycle it around the community. So I was actually very interested in this because on my progression through the lock picking, Lock Pickers United belt ranking system, this lock is slated as an orange belt lock. And why I found that very interesting is the majority of locks that are at that orange belt rank have security pins. This lock has none, as far as I know, from the cutaways that people have made. So it's purely just because of the paracentric keyway, and more importantly, the way that it picks, because of the materials that are in it and the machining tolerances. It is quite different, and it took me a little while to get used to this. When I first started picking this lock, I followed some advice that I found from Lock Noob and also from Sandman and other people expressing, heavy tension or other stuff like that. And I found on mine, I could pick it if I pressed in the shackle, and I just happened to do that. And I was like, okay, I was convinced that that was it. And there was quite a few people that were saying that this lock does not pick well with light tension, but I actually found that that isn't the case, at least in mine. And while those other methods did work, I noticed that once I refined my skills in the way that I was picking, and specifically touching the pins, the lock opened faster for me. Now, I'm not a speed picker. I don't claim to be. I'm a novice to intermediate picker at best. at the time of this recording of this video, even though my channel doesn't have videos for it yet, I can already pick locks at a green belt level. So I'm fairly, I would say, somewhat rounded on some basic picking skills. But this lock sort of presented a little bit of a challenge to me, and when I found that I started picking it slightly different in the way that I was going around touching the pins and trying to raise them, I noticed that what was working at locks at a lower level below this, or different machining levels, was not okay with this lock, specifically this Titalium. And what do I mean by that? Well, I'm not using anything special. There's no special tools here in terms of like something that's hard to find or hard to get. To pick this lock, I'll actually just be using Jimmy Long's tools right here. And I'll be using tools that are actually from the starter set. And if I'm not mistaken here, I believe I've got the turner, bottom of the keyway, top of the keyway, and 30 thousandths. And then I'll be using the short flat hook in 23 thousandths. So these are starter set tools. But the thing that I found when I started picking this that I noticed I had to be different about was I had to touch the pins very, very subtly initially for any of those lower cuts, because I had some that were very low cut and they did need to be touched. But if I applied the kind of lift on them from my pick that I normally would with any other lock, including other ABUS locks, it tended to result in an overset. And you could tell when you overset on this lock, because whenever you do, you get this really loud click, and usually that's a bad sign. You kind of got to restart. So let's go ahead and we'll put the tensioner in here, top of the keyway. So we're just using that small side of that tensioner from Jimmy Long's, and then I'll use the pick here. And very first thing I'm gonna do is just kind of get my pin or my pick all the way to the back, and then I'm actually gonna work from the back to the front. But I'm just gonna go through with just really subtle little taps. And then when I get to the front one here, that guy needs maybe just a touch more of a tap there, and I got to click on him, just a very soft one. And then I work my way all the way to the back, and I'm actually still using kind of a light tension. And if you guys saw it there, you could hear that click and a little movement, very, very subtle, just very subtle. And you can see we already got this open. So for those of you who've been struggling with this ABUS Titalium and you've been hearing heavy tension, heavy tension, heavy tension, or you gotta compress the shackle, I'm telling you, I don't think that's necessary. I'm not an advanced picker. I most certainly am not probably on the level of some black belt pickers that are out there, and if they have suggestions for you, definitely take their advice. But for me, as a newer picker, not using anything super special here, this is literally starter set tools, just slaying, locks that are frustrating the ever-loving crap out of a lot of newer pickers, and even sometimes pickers who've been around for a while, based on some of the videos and threads I've seen. Use light tension, and when you go around picking with the key pins on this, don't do a ton of this. this rocking motion. It's fine if you find a key pin that you've really got to get a high lift on, like one when I had to do that. But all the other ones, all I was doing is just touching them, counting and feeling, and then just subtly like moving the lock. So I'll do it one more time. We'll go back in from the back, and you can just barely hear that. And there's one. Work our way to the back. Just those soft clicks like that. So that sound that you're hearing is that very subtle tap. You'll notice that my picking motion was more of a lift, like an actual elevator lift of a pick on these key pins. And I think that part of the reason that works better on this lock is maybe because of those materials and the machining. It makes this a difficult pick because when those pins bind into that cylinder or into the Bible, in any of those parts there, that's the part that gets frustrating because you feel like you're not getting the feedback you should. And when I went light like that, and I mean just like really light, and then changed my picking motion from a rock, like a lever, to more of a straight on vertical lift. Maybe there's some, off axis torque being applied there, but for the most part, just sort of a vertical lift like that. This lock got a lot easier. And I mean it, like it just, it went from me being able to pick this in maybe about 7 to 8 minutes to me being able to repeatedly pick this lock in under 3 or 2 minutes. I think my fastest time is under 2 minutes with this lock. And obviously I'm not a speed picker. I'm not the best in the world, but I think that if you guys are struggling with this, give this method a try. If you're interested in this lock and you're a newer picker and you get scared when you read some of those reviews, or let's say you're a newer picker and you bought this and you're worried about this thing and you think, man, I just can't figure it out, and you're about ready to chuck this thing into the bucket, don't give up on this lock. This lock's got something to teach you. And I think it taught me something. Just like how an American lock 1100 can teach you quite a bit with your picking technique, I think this lock is going to do really good for you new pickers like myself, and it helps to teach us to sometimes change our methods and how we do things, and that we have to adapt to the lock. Not so much that, hey, if our methods don't work, then this is just a great lock, or this is a very difficult lock. We just need to refine our techniques and find out what works for that lock. Some locks love heavy tension. Other locks don't. If you bind them too hard, they just won't work. Some locks you have to use heavy tension that have slider bars and stuff like that. So I think that's something that you guys are gonna have to find out, and it's a feel thing. But I think buying this lock will help you to expand that hand-eye coordination, that mechanical kind of feel, that experience that you could only get from learning it hands-on. And this lock is going to pick much different than what you've been picking if you've been picking Brinks, Master Lock, and even other Avis locks. This feels a lot different than the brass body padlocks. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's already kind of run a little bit long here, but if you guys find this helpful to you, Please do me a favor. Smash the like button and subscribe. And also down below, tell me if you've gotten this lock open. Tell me some of your tips and tricks as well, and share that with the community, because after all, you know, I'm just one guy making videos, picking locks. We can all learn from each other, and what works for me may not work for someone else. So feel free to share that in the comments down below. Hope you guys enjoyed. Have a good day. Bye.